I'm dead. She died in the mouth of a fierce tiger trained by her husband Zhong Liangyi. Ye Yuan's depression attack. Zhong Liangyi left me in the wilderness. The fierce tiger was restless, and I calmed him down in the way Zhong Liangyi had taught me. I called for help and finally got through. What greeted me was abuse and Ye Huanwan's coquettishness. I died under the bite of a fierce tiger, and my body was completely skinless. Zhong Liangyi didn't know that Ye Yuan was angering the tiger through his hand, and I died on the cliff with a 3-month-old child in my belly. Zhong Liangyi, who knew the truth, went crazy. 1. Her husband, Zhong Liangyi, is a famous animal trainer. At the age of 6, he was exposed to the profession, and there was no beast that could not be cured. He is proud of people and never puts down his body to perform for free. It was me who gave Zhong Liangyi to the top. Zhong Liangyi was recruited into the largest forest management office in the country, and served as a top animal trainer. It's bitter and sweet. I thought everything was getting better. Zhong Liangyi, but at the wedding site, left me to accompany Ye Yuan. If I remember correctly, this is Ye Huan's 100th depression attack. In the woods I hid in a hurry. Zhong Liangyi's fierce tiger horn, which he trained himself, suddenly went crazy. I hid behind the tree. He tore off the corner of his clothes and endured the pain and bandaged it on the arm with white bones. Force yourself to calm down. The forest is remote, and I don't know the coordinates. The mobile phone signal is 1, and I can only barely call for help. I pin my hope for life on Zhong Liangyi. Dial it for the 5th time. Finally connected. Facing him, he scolded angrily. Shinmu, are you endless? Ye Huanwan's legs are now hanging on the edge of the 18th floor. You just want to be jealous, and you have to find a better reason. The horn is the big tiger I've seen since I was a child. I'm crazy and it can't go crazy. The sound of the wind came into my ears from my mobile phone. I could even follow the sound of the wind and see the scene of Zhong Liangyi holding Ye Huanwan on the rooftop. Ye Huanwan said delicately, "Brothery, you are so kind. If it weren't for you, I would have jumped down. It was you who gave me a new life." The corners locked the direction along the blood. I didn't have time to explain to Zhong Liangyi again, so I called the forest management office. The staff of the forest management office told me the address and called 119. There must be a reason why Jiao Jiao suddenly lost control. About half an hour before the attack, did Jiao Jiao eat anything? That I tried to recall. Zhong Liangyi gave Jiao Jiao canned food. He was sleepy and shook his head. When he woke up again, he pounced on me and bit me. The smell of blood permeated the forest. My thoughts were interrupted and I ran desperately. A thin fishing line is embedded in my ankle. A piece of meat was cut off immediately. I looked at the approaching tiger in despair and gritted my teeth and climbed to the cliff. Being bitten and being knocked to death, I choose the latter. I just feel sorry for the child in my belly. The stone cut my chest. Jiao Jiao pounced on the ground and bit me crazily. Blood spread. I took out my mobile phone and sent a text message to my mother. Mom, Zhong Liangyi and I are going on a trip. It may take a long time to return to China. Don't miss it. I saw the corpse being torn to pieces. There are tears of survival in the corners of his eyes. Don't close your eyes to death. An hour ago, Zhong Liangyi and I arrived at the forest. He said that the forest is located in a remote area, and the scenery at night is extremely beautiful. I haven't been here. He happened to bring me to play. As soon as I put down the things that needed camping, Zhong Liangyi's mobile phone screen lit up. It's Ye Tanchi again. I guess it must be a jump this time. Zhong Liangyi rushed over to take the mobile phone and answer the phone. After hanging up, put on your coat. Why are you going? I asked knowingly. Zhong Liangyi didn't back. Huanwan's sister has a depression attack and wants to jump from the management building. 2. Are you going to put me and Jiao Jiao together? Zhong Liangyi was impatient. Why are you so pretentious? Jiao Jiao won't hurt you. Besides, Huanwan is about to jump off the building. How can I have the heart to accompany you here? Shenmu, sometimes you just don't have a big picture view than Huanwan. If you jump off the building, Huanwan will definitely let me save you. Jiao Jiao is licking the canned food opened by Zhong Liangyi. It was given by Ye Yuan. Look at Jiao Jiao. If it has any advantages and disadvantages, I must divorce you. Zhong Liangyi's favorite thing in his life is to tame beasts. Love to the solid crazy. My nasal voice was heavy and I shrank. Just watch Zhong Liangyi drive away. After eating canned food, Jiao Jiao is very sleepy. It's getting late. Zhong Liangyi hasn't come back yet. I set up the barbecue grill and prepared Zhong Liangyi's favorite willow mutton. The fire is hot. Behind him, I turned around. Jiao Jiao's face showed a fierce light and opened his mouth. A huge body rushed to me. I couldn't dodge and was thrown on the hot barbecue grill. His left arm was dislocated and his flesh and blood were blurred. I endured the pain and ran behind the tree in a hurry. The whole body was covered with wet dirt to cover up the smell. The corners were stained with the smell of blood, which was even crazier. Look for me everywhere. I was afraid of tigers. He is alone in the deep mountains and forests at night. My heart trembled with fear. The pain of being gnawed by the tiger is transmitted to the limbs and skeletons. I picked up my mobile phone and made the first call. It was called to Zhong Liangyi. The signal was not good. I called several times before I heard the beep. Zhong Liangyi is a well-known beast trainer and knows where I am. He must have a way to suppress Jiao Jiao temporarily. The bell rang for a long time. Zhong Liangyi scolded angrily. Shinmu, didn't I tell you that Huanwan was going to jump off the building? Why are you always so blind? How did I marry such a stupid pig as you in the first place? My eyes wet. Liangyi, come quickly, okay? I don't know what happened. Jiao Jiao suddenly attacked me madly. My arm has. Fart. Before I finished speaking, Zhong Liangyi immediately retorted. You're crazy and you can't go crazy. Shinmu, it always depends on the time to be jealous, right? It always depends on things, right? It's okay for me to put my hand into Jiao Jiao's mouth. Why did you stay with it for a long time? The blood invaded my larynx. I trembled and said, Liangyi, it's true. Jiao Jiao suddenly attacked me after eating the canned food sent by Ye Huanwan. Why should I lie to you with such a thing? I lowered my voice for fear that the search corner would hear it. Fortunately, it was windy tonight, so I barely covered up the words. Zhong Liangyi exhausted his patience. Shinmu, I have explained to you countless times that Huanwan is just my neighbor sister. You don't have to frame her like this, do you? I'm already married to you. What else do you want to do? Is it possible that I want to break up with my sister from childhood to adulthood? Huanwan is depressed and is going to jump off the building. I'll appease her and go back to accompany you. Don't you understand? I am desperate from the bottom of my heart. Put down your mobile phone. A delicate female voice came from the receiver. Brother E, why don't you go back to accompany Sister Mumu? Although Sister Mumu always jokes about such a serious matter, what if it's true this time? I'm sorry, Brother E, it was Huanwan who ruined your family. Huanwan will find a quiet place to die in the future, and will never cause trouble to Brother E again. 3. Is it really just a younger sister? I swallowed this question back to my stomach. After Ye Yuan returned to China half a year ago, Zhong Liangyi's mobile phone screen always lit up day and night. Zhong Liangyi got up. One morning my elbow hit the corner of the table and squatted down. Zhong Liangyi cursed loudly. It's okay to say that I don't make money, and don't let him have a good rest. A housewife is so stupid that she can't even do the most basic things well. Tears wet my eyes. My heart hurts more than my elbow. But Zhong Liangyi, who is like this, opens his eyes and wears clothes when the bell rings in the middle of the night. He said that the animals in the forest management department were out of control. But I know that the forest management office is guarded 24 hours a day, and there is no need to toss Zhong Liangyi alone. I denied the facts and continued to deceive myself. Until I saw Zhong Liangyi's call record that day. There is basically no call from the forest management office. The screen is full of Huanwan. 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 Zhong Liangyi and I have been in love for 10 years. He is unruly and talks badly. Only Ye Yuan is gentle and on call 24 hours a day. I dropped out of school early and tried my best to unconditionally support Zhong Liangyi to devote himself to his hobby. He even sold his hair and rummaged through the trash can to eat rotten vegetable leaves. Zhong Liangyi, who became famous, did not officially announce his relationship. It is said that it will affect the career. After 10 years of love, they finally got married at my request. At the wedding site, I was the only one standing alone on the stage. The stage was full of abuse, and my mother-in-law stared at me fiercely. He said that I stirred up the love between Zhong Liangyi and Ye Huanwan. Only my deaf mother came to the stage and gently soothed me with out-of-tune syllables. I never called Zhong Liangyi. I'm afraid that he will scold me. I'm afraid that he will be disappointed. They all send WeChat messages. Most of the time I'm talking to myself. Today I use the best time to call Zhong Liangyi again and again. This is the first time I've called him in 10 years. But he was scolded for being scolded. How pathetic. Zhong Liangyi cursed angrily and hung up the phone. I endured the pain and called the forest management office. The staff was shocked. Didn't Brother E say he was with you? Oh, sorry, Sister Zhong. I'll send the address to 119 now. Sister-in-law Zhong Jiao Jiao has no weaknesses. You must hold on. The thick dirt on the body was washed away by the gurgling blood. Who? The dull roar of Jiao Jiao is getting closer and closer. I dragged my body to move to the destination in embarrassment. The staff also told me how to deal with beasts and the habits of Jiao Jiao. My brain is blank and I can't care about anything. I just want to live. In the process of running desperately, he was cut naked by the fishing line. The will to survive makes me climb forward. A cold wind gushed out from under the bottomless cliff. Between being bitten to death and falling to death, I choose the latter. The cliff that reaps my life has become my relief at this moment. But Jiao Jiao didn't give me this opportunity at all. It pounced on me and bit me crazily. An amulet fell from my chest. Soak in blood and water and melt. My soul floated to the place where Zhong Liangyi was. As expected, he is on the rooftop in Ye Huanwan. You and I are. Behind him are other employees of the forest management office. Ye Huanwan snuggled in Zhong Liangyi's arms, crying pear blossoms with rain. Brother E, I really can't imagine what I would do without you. Zhong Liangyi gently stroked Ye Huanwan's hair. Don't worry, you will never live without me in your life. Call me if you need anything. Don't do anything stupid, okay? Wang Peng, who had just entered the forest management office, said quickly, Brother Zhong, the management office called an hour ago, saying that there was a beast attack in the forest in Area A. Is it time for us to set off? Zhong Liangyi was impatient. The forest is so big that there are beast attacks everywhere. Before entering the forest, they all signed an exemption agreement. Repeat over and over again not to anger the beast, so that you can still die, and you can only think that you are unlucky. What's more, Huanwan was almost attacked just now and died on the upper floor of our management office. I'm also here to save people. What's wrong? Zhong Liangyi still looks high and superior. 4. Wang Peng raised a high tone. Brother Zhong, have you forgotten? Now the animal trainers who can be dispatched by the whole management office are here, and the only ladder into the cloud has also been brought by you to save Miss Yi. Area A of the incident is steep. How can we go up the mountain without a cloud ladder? Being taught to do things by his subordinates, Zhong Liangyi couldn't stand it. Sternly. Are you blaming me? Fuck. There are human lives on both sides. I must save the one who is the closest and knows first. What's wrong with me saving Yuan? Ah, you say it. If you are in a hurry to be promoted, get out of here. Don't be in the way here. Brother Zhong, you called us here. I'm afraid that there's something wrong with Ms. Yi running upstairs from below, so that everyone can guard upstairs and downstairs. Wang Peng had long been unaccustomed to Zhong Liangyi's behavior and quarreled. Like most life-saving professions, animal trainers in the forest management department need to be responsible for the personal safety of the entire forest. Zhong Liangyi's actions are to mount to abuse of private power. Seeing that the fight was about to start, Ye Yuan pulled Zhong Liangyi's sleeve pitifully. Brother Yi, don't be angry. It's all my fault. He bowed to the other trainers again. I'm sorry for causing you trouble. After I entered the forest management office, I was chased by a beast. I was scared and depressed. I can't think of it for a moment, so I'm sorry everyone. Everyone didn't dare to say anything and hurried to the place where the incident happened. Zhong Liangyi realized later that I was still in the forest. Then he reluctantly came to find me. Unexpectedly, the place of the incident in the report was exactly the same as my location. Zhong Liangyi panicked. Try your best to tell yourself that it's impossible. It's not such a coincidence. But, my dear husband, I have been torn to pieces by your pet for a long time. From now on I will never bother you again. Zhong Liangyi looked through his mobile phone. My message stayed quietly yesterday. Zhong Liangyi never died to refresh. Ye Huanwan came up and looked lost. Brother, did something happen to Sister Shen? What can she do when she is with Jiao Jiao? Zhong Liangyi said hard. What can we do even if something happens? She only has a deaf mother who is 3,000 miles away and has no money. The married daughter splashed the water, and the woman who married far away has only one family. She doesn't dare to make a second time. Ye Yuan's face was terrified, but the corners of his mouth couldn't stop rising. Brother Yi, Sister Shen is also worried about you. Don't be angry with Sister Shen. It's all my fault that I'm too fragile, but I can't control the symptoms of late-stage depression at all. Ye Huanwan bit his lip and said, Brother Yi, I will never disturb your and Sister Shen's life next time. The thumb gently wiped away Ye Huanwan's tears. If it hadn't been for the agreement, I would have divorced Shen Mu long ago. Lightly scratched the tip of Ye Huanwan's nose. How happy I would be if Shen Mu was half considerate of you. Brother Yi, a good man like you is suitable for a better woman to accompany. Ye Huanwan snuggled into Zhong Liangyi's arms. Wang Peng, who was driving, suddenly braked. Zhong Liangyi staggered and felt unhappy. If you don't want to do it, get out of here. Team Bell, we have arrived. The deputy team reminds. Zhong Liangyi knew that he was at a loss, so he shut up and got out of the car. The scene was miserable with bloodstains and trailing marks everywhere. The barbecue grill rolled over the ground, and the smoke was rolling. Several strings of brightly colored willow mutton were covered with dust. As soon as Zhong Liangyi and others arrived, the firefighters rushed to the scene to start working. Who called the fire alarm? Zhong Liangyi praised. Very good, the reaction is fast enough. Everyone at the scene looked at each other. Fire chief. It was the staff of the forest management department who called the police an hour ago, saying that a lady here was attacked by a tiger. Zhong Liangyi's right eyelid jumped straight. It's too coincidentally. Bow your head and send me a message. Shinmu, where are you? There was no reply. Tigers roared from the depths of the forest. Everyone rushed over and found that Mr. Li was controlling beasts with a few scattered newcomers. A fierce tiger with flesh and blood on its fangs struggled desperately. Zhong Liangyi recognized it as Jiao Jiao at a glance. Let go. That's a corner. Li Laoer didn't say anything. He turned around and slapped Zhong Liangyi hard. Point 5. Do you still know that it's your tiger? We didn't say anything about it in private, but today someone died in its mouth. The trainers of the entire forest management office have basically been taken to the rooftop by you. Except for my old bone, no one dares to control this dead tiger. This is human life. You should think about how to keep up with your superiors first. My disgraced corpse was placed on the stretcher. The scene was so bloody that someone vomited on the spot. The amulet slipped from the white cloth. Zhong Liangyi picked it up. I only feel familiar, but I don't know where I have seen it. Mr. Li was emotional. Zhong Liangyi, Leader Zhong. You are a national-level animal trainer. How could you make such a low-level mistake? After all, a tiger is a tiger. How can it be released without strict care? The little girl was found on the edge of the cliff and died without a whole body. Let her family know how sad it should be. The on-site forensic examination has been completed. It was confirmed that the deceased died under the tiger's claws. Another shocking news was reported. The deceased has been pregnant for 3 months. Zhong Liangyi's hands couldn't stop shaking. Another message was sent to me. Shinmu, are you dead? You fucking talk. This is Zhong Liangyi's usual way of speaking, but this time I really died. He died under the profession he was proud of. He died in the mouth of his favorite beast. Zhong Liangyi took a deep breath, and his eyes were rarely guilty. I'm sorry. This is my negligence. Before the accident, a victim was chased by forest beasts, so I rushed to save people. It's all to save people, and Mr. Li doesn't have much to say. He turned his head and saw Ye Huanwan, who was intact, playing his mobile phone with a lollipop in the car. Mr. Li knows Ye Yuan, a girl who lives 99 times in the forest management building every day. Suddenly he was furious, pointing to the shrinking Ye Huanwan. Zhong Liangyi, is this the big deal you are talking about? This girl jumps from your workplace every day. You have saved him 99 times. How can you still be fooled by her again and again? Mr. Li. Zhong Liangyi was embarrassed. Huanwan is depressed. There is a fart. Mr. Li was anxious. People with depression will not use depression to gain sympathy. Zhong Liangyi, I'll say it again, work is work, life is life. Don't substitute your childish feelings into your work. And you. Li Laoheng frowned coldly. If you dare to jump off the building of the forest management office in the future, I will beat you to death. Sorry, Mr. Li. Ye Huanwan, who was scolded, cried and cried. I felt sorry for myself. I just can't control myself. I didn't mean to cause trouble to the people of the forest management office. Zhong Liangyi was heartbroken. Just as he was about to put his hand on Ye Huanwan's waist, he was blinded by Mr. Li. Xiaoyi, I heard that you have married Xiaoshen long ago. Xiaoshen is a good girl. Don't let someone who has a heart for the sake of someone who has no intention. Zhong Liangyi didn't say anything. His eyes swept over my body intentionally or unintentionally. If Zhong Liangyi looked carefully, he would find that the plastic ring he proposed to me in the rental house at the beginning was still hanging on my fingertips. Shinmu is my wife. Zhong Liangyi shouted at the seaside. Shinmu is my Zhong Liangyi's wife. I, Zhong Liangyi, am also a family man. This plastic ring from the Tuyuan store trapped my whole life. With the participation of firefighters, animal trainers and forensic doctors, the case was solved quickly. The victim was camping and was knocked down by a tiger. He climbed to the edge of the cliff and was bitten to death by a tiger. The forensic doctor is still finding a fishing line on the way to escape. The fishing line is tightly wrapped around the trees. Obviously, someone did it on purpose. The blood dragged from the forest to the edge of the cliff. There are scattered pieces of clothes hanging everywhere on the trees. This is the last trace left in the world before I died. 6. Zhong Liangyi picked up a piece of clothes. As soon as he had a clue, he was interrupted by Ye Yuan's scream. Ye Huanwan went to see Jiao Jiao and was almost thrown to the ground. What's the matter? Brother Zhong, I'm so bad. Its teeth are full of blood. Go back to the car and stay. I'll take you home in the evening. But Brother Zhong, Ye Huanwan said timidly, I delayed everyone's work and I feel bad. Now I want to see if there is anything that can help you. Help with what? Wang Peng sneered and said, Miss Yi, it's better for you to have more time to see more patients than anything else. Don't delay our work. If you hadn't been sympathetic there, the deceased would have been saved. Ye Huanwan's eyes were full of tears. What do you mean by that? It means that you are causing trouble for us again and again. I didn't. Ye Huanwan gritted her teeth and stamped her feet. I really can't think of jumping off the building. Wang Peng dragged Ye Huanwan to the edge of the cliff. Jump! Jump! People like you who get sympathy indiscriminately don't deserve to be saved at all. Do you know how far the girl who died here has climbed? How long did she struggle before she died? She scrambled for seconds to live. My husband rushed to save the green tea. I took the 3-month-old child in my belly and died in the mouth of the tiger. He trained 39,103 inch. But you are here to play a game with your life as a child. I didn't. Ye Huanwan's pear blossoms brought rain and staggered back. I'm really depressed. People who are really depressed are not like you at all. Wang Peng's eyes were blood red. The depressed patients I met were afraid of causing trouble to others, so they left quietly every time. I can't even save it. Don't slander depressed patients like you. Enough. Zhong Liangyi slapped Wang Peng's hand. The deceased is dead. What's the use of saying this now? She could have been alive. Wang Peng pointed at me and said, "How can you let her family accept it if you die in such a place that could have been saved? If you were a family member of the deceased, would you forgive Ye Huanwan for taking favor from the public? No way." "I will," Zhong Liangyi roared. "The deceased has passed away. If I were a family member of the deceased, I would sign a letter of understanding." "Okay." Wang Peng was so angry that he turned around in place. "When your relatives die, don't forget to write a letter of understanding to the murderer." Wang Peng's eyes were red. "Captain Zhong, don't let me look down on you." Zhong Liangyi raised his hand to hit Wang Peng. "Okay, don't make a fuss." The deputy came forward. "This is the point. Don't disturb the peace of the dead. Brother Zhong, Mr. Li said that you are responsible for this matter, and let you be punished by yourself. Wang Peng, calm down and assist the forensic doctor." "Miss Yi." The deputy looked at Ye Huanwan and said, "Please don't come to the forest management office to make trouble in the future. We can only manage the beast well, and we can't cure your depression. If you feel uncomfortable, please go to the hospital to check your mental state." Zhong Liangyi can't lose face. Before leaving, he said coldly, "Who the fuck has any opinions? Hurry up and report to Mr. Li. Don't lose your temper with me." This incident completely tore the face of Zhong Liangyi and everyone. No one cares about it. Zhong Liangyi held his breath and looked at Ye Huanwan viciously. At the end he endured. "Let's go. Go home." Ye Yuan nodded obediently. If Zhong Liangyi is willing to turn around, he will see it. Ye Yuan is stepping heavily on my amulet into the dirt. A triumphant smile appeared on his face. 7. I followed Zhong Liangyi's car back home. Zhong Liangyi arranged Ye Huanwan in our bedroom. "Brother Zhong," Ye Yuanqi thought, "can you really write a letter of understanding?" Zhong Liangyi looked at Ye Huanwan and said, "My relatives are all alive. Why write a letter of understanding?" Ye Huanwan bit her lip. "But that's what Wang Peng said today. Brother Zhong, why don't you write a certificate in advance? Of course Brother Zhong's family will be safe. How could something happen? I just think Wang Peng is bullying people too much. Besides, it's just a letter of understanding, and there's nothing wrong. If you write it down, you can prove that you are a real man and are not afraid of gossip." "That's right." Zhong Liangyi sat at the table and drafted a letter of understanding. It is also the letter of understanding printed by Ye Yuanwan from the internet. Press the handprint. This letter of understanding has taken effect. Zhong Liangyi felt that this kind of thing was unlucky and couldn't write about his mother. So he wrote my name on it. Zhong Liangyi and Ye Huanwan slept together. Zhong Liangyi and I have been together for 10 years. 10 years of time can't warm his heart. My gentleness is overwhelming under Ye Huanwan's coquettishness. I don't know whether to blame Zhong Liangyi for being too weak. Leaving aside the identity of her husband, Zhong Liangyi is still the captain of the forest management department and a top animal trainer. He is responsible for the safety of people and animals in the whole forest management department. I desperately asked for help in his territory, but I didn't get the rescue I deserved. That I think, if it's a stranger asking for help, Zhong Liangyi may all go there soon, right? At night, Zhong Liangyi lost sleep. He is very angry. If you get angry, you will have stomach disease. I will cook a bowl of hot stomach-warming porridge for him in advance every night. I picked the vegetables from the mountain with my own hands, and the wild ones are good for his stomach. The pig was raised by my mother and transported by air. The forehead was forced to sweat coldly because of the severe pain. Zhong Liangyi took out his mobile phone viciously. "Shen Mu, if you don't come back tonight, don't come back in the future. Send this sentence to the dialogue box without hesitation." He closed his mobile phone again and glanced at Ye Yuanwan fiercely. "Go and cook a bowl of porridge for me," Zhong Liangyi ordered. Ye Huanwan was sleepy and was called up. Sitting on the bed in a daze, confirming that it was himself who repeatedly called, and his mouth was shrined. "Brother Zhong, I won't." "No." Zhong Liangyi slapped the table. "You are a woman who can't even make porridge?" "Brother Zhong." Ye Yuan is shrinking. "Don't be angry, I will learn." Seeing that Ye Yuan was about to cry again, Zhong Liangyi took a deep breath. He hurriedly sat on the bed and held her in his arms. "It's my fault. I can't control my emotions. Sleep, go to sleep." I heard Zhong Liangyi, who was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, said in a light voice, "Shen Mu, if only it were you. It's ridiculous. People, why do you only know how to cherish after losing? This kind of life lasts for 3 days. In these 3 days, Zhong Liangyi has been like a year. He found that Ye Yuan was not the best life partner. I don't know how to cook, wash clothes and wash dishes, and even takeaway will only be at the original price. The house is messy and smelly. Ye Huanwan's cosmetics and bags can be seen everywhere." Zhong Liangyi was upset. Until that night. He sat up suddenly and stumbled in the bedroom. I stepped on the leftover takeaway box. "Brother Zhong, what's wrong with you?" Ye Huanwan was awakened. Hearing the sound, Zhong Liangyi stared at his blood-red eyes, muttering, you're fine. Mumu, you're all right. I just dreamed of you. After seeing that the other party was Ye Huan, He let go of his hand in despair. Zhong Liangyi's stomach ache was extremely incomparable. I stumbled to find the medicine box, but found that the stomach medicine had already been eaten up. Without me he was defeated. 8. Zhong Liangyi sat on the sofa decadently and sent me a WeChat message again. The eyes flashed with determination. Mumu, come back. Huanwan is my sister, and I will try my best to keep a distance from her in the future. Is there no signal for you to go back to your mother's house? Shall I pick you up? My stomach is growling. Zhong Liangyi clicked on the takeaway software. The more I look at it, the more upset I get. Finally, I couldn't help calling me. I couldn't help laughing mockingly. After serving Zhong Liangyi for 10 years after my death, he discovered my indispensable position in life. I don't know if he loves me and can't leave me, or he just needs my care. The phone was connected quickly. It's a male voice. Hello. Who are you? Zhong Liangyi frowned and got angry again. Who are you from Shenmu? Are you Shenmu's family? I'm Officer Wang from the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Officer Wang? Zhong Liangyi looked at the phone and was sure that it was me. He asked, why do you have Shenmu's mobile phone? This is the deceased's mobile phone. We have just cooperated with the forensic doctor and the fire department to confirm that the woman who was bitten by a tiger in the forest was Shenmu. Shenmu's family, please pay your condolences. Zhong Liangyi fell to the ground and couldn't stop shaking. Impossible. The blood on his face was drained and he was careful. My wife, how could she die? I'm a beast trainer. The control tiger is specially trained by me, and it's impossible to attack people. Zhong Liangyi drove to the police station. A red light all the way. After stepping on 200 miles, the plaque of the police station finally appeared in front of me. The police took out the evidence given by the forensic doctor. Theoretically, the tiger named Jingjiao has no intention of continuing to hurt people after that. But we found a lot of catnip in the cans at the scene. Catnip will make cats illusory. After on-site investigation, the forensic doctor speculated that Miss Shenmu was roasting a barbecue at that time. The tiger who ate a large amount of catnip smelled the meat and pounced on the grill, but accidentally threw herself on Miss Shenmu, who was grilling. Miss Shenmu was bitten, and a large amount of blood gushed out, which stimulated the senses of the fierce tiger, and then she was out of control. In the process, Miss Shenmu once called you for help, but she didn't get your rescue, so she could only ask the official forest management office for help. The policeman frowned. During the escape, he tripped over a tight fishing line and died tragically on the edge of the cliff. Impossible. Zhong Liangyi roared. Impossible. It's like a trapped beast turning in place. Put your hands on the table. Cha-cha, who laid the fishing line? I want her to pay for her life. Mr. Zhong, please calm down. The police took out the letter of understanding signed by Zhong Liangyi himself. The police can no longer investigate. I see that you have signed a letter of understanding. The legal effect of the letter of understanding has taken effect, and the police station has given up sorting out the case. Zhong Liangyi is like a mang piercing in the back. The blood-red eyes stared at the letter of understanding. The bright signature on it stimulated his nerves again and again. The fingerprints of Ye Yuan are attached to the fishing line. Only then did I know that everything was traceable. I know that Zhong Liangyi has gone crazy. Once he, who is usually arrogant and domineering, calms down, he is close to the brink of collapse. My heart doesn't hurt at all. The soul is also slowly fading. The policeman handed my mobile phone to Zhong Liangyi. Go home and clean up my relics. Charge the mobile phone. I tried several sets of passwords but they couldn't be solved. He was stunned and entered XX140906. It's the day we met. Unlock the screen. In the album there are few photos of us. On the desktop there are only Xiaohongshu and WeChat. Click to open WeChat. Looking at the message he sent, Zhong Liangyi's pupils contracted. The historical browsing records of Xiaohongshu are all about Zhong Liangyi. My husband has a bad stomach. What stomach medicine is better? It's painful to be a housewife, but I want my husband to have a hot meal when he comes home. This is the ring my husband bought for me when he proposed, and I still have it. It's not expensive, but it's our memory. Zhong Liangyi has long forgotten where his plastic ring is. Looking for it like crazy, but I can't find it. He hugged the only photo with me and fell asleep. 9. When I woke up, I received a call from my mother. My mother is congenitally deaf and can't hear others. The voice is out of tone. Xiao Zhong, thank you for taking my daughter abroad. My daughter is a doll who grew up in the countryside. If she hadn't met you, I'm afraid she wouldn't even be able to leave the village. Mom. Zhong Liangyi burst into tears. Mom. Sorry. My mother couldn't hear Zhong Liangyi's apology. Self-care. Yes, Mumu hasn't sent me a message for the past 3 days. She used to talk to me every day, but she hasn't sent me messages since she traveled abroad with you. Help me tell Mumu. Just say that Mom misses her. Let her reply to me when she is free. Zhong Liangyi suddenly remembered. I have said more than once that if I have any accidents, please help me take good care of my mother. Every time Zhong Liangyi sneered. But my answer is, what if? Now he can fulfill this promise. Mom! Zhong Liangyi knelt on the ground and tore his heart in lungs. I'm sorry. Mom! I'm sorry. I'm a beast, damn it. Sorry, Mom. I'm an animal, I'm not a human. Zhong Liangyi fainted on the ground with a stomach attack. The stomach disease has lasted for 13 years. I have never committed it during my period. Only 3 days after my death, Zhong Liangyi's stomach disease had 2 attacks. He once couldn't bear to overturn the porridge, but now he can't eat it anymore. There were very few people at the funeral. When Zhong's mother came to participate, she still looked happy. He said that he finally asked this broom star out of the house. I saw Zhong's mother lead Ye Huanwan to Zhong Liangyi's side. Zhong Liangyi hit Ye Yuan like crazy and asked her heartbreakingly if she had done it. Ye Yuan said that he thought catnip was good for the health of cats. She shouted again that the fishing line was used by her to mark. I didn't expect that I would be tripped. Zhong's mother stopped Zhong Liangyi fiercely and rolled her eyes. If you die, you will die. Let me tell you, damn this broom star. Look at how good we are, ah? I just like our Huanwan. Zhong Liangyi noticed that not far away, a wrinkled figure was slowly approaching with crutches. My heart is heartbroken, but there are no tears in my eyes. The mother cried bitterly. But I can't wipe away my tears from my mother. Zhong Liangyi knelt in front of my mother and kowtowed again and again. I fell on my forehead and blushed. I bumped into blood all over the ground. But it's all of no use. Dead is dead. Never go back. After my death, Zhong Liangyi suddenly got better. He sent my mother back to his hometown and vowed to God to be filial. Stop halfway to buy water. I didn't see my mother in the car when I came back. My mother was standing on the national highway, struggling to move a girl who looked like me. Mom! Zhong Liangyi roared and ran to my mother desperately. But my mother can't hear it. I couldn't hear Zhong Liangyi's heartrending roar. I can't hear the horns of cars coming at high speed. Moo moo moo. My mother held my urn and muttered, die in the noisy sound of dripping. A peace charm that is exactly the same as mine fell on the national highway, rolled up by the wind and crushed by cars. The police contacted the culprit, Ye Yuan. Ye Huanwan took out the family's letter of understanding. I didn't know that Shenmu would be so stupid that she couldn't see the fishing line. Beso, Brother Zhong has signed a letter of understanding for the family, and you have no right to arrest me. Ye Yuan was released. He killed me directly, but he was still able to walk out of the police station intact, bathe in the afternoon sun and enjoy life. Zhong Liangyi surrendered. If he has to shirk responsibility, he can actually be unharmed. But he put everything out in full. Half an hour later, Ye Yuan was depressed as usual and called Zhong Liangyi. She thought that without me, Zhong Liangyi loved her wholeheartedly. Zhong Liangyi went as promised. He pushed Ye Yuan down from the 18th floor. Ye Yuan was smashed to pieces. The teammate who was arranged to stand by downstairs by Zhong Liangyi was held in an elastic rescue cloth. How ironic. That it is Zhong Liangyi who wants Ye Yuan to be born. It was also Zhong Liangyi who wanted Ye Yuan to die. Ye Yuan wanted not to die. A lifelong disability. The news is on the hot search. Netizens have speculated that Ye Yuan is not depressed at all. Real depressed patients refuse to bother others even when they die. Those mysteries were finally answered correctly after my death. Ye Huanwan was rescued in the ICU for 3 days and 3 nights before she woke up. She thought the plan was seamless. Let Zhong Liangyi feed canned catnip. Wrap the fishing line in advance. Instigate Zhong Liangyi to take me to the mountain for a date. Make an appointment with Zhong Liangyi at almost night. She knew that Zhong Liangyi would definitely abandon me, and she also knew that I was very afraid of tigers. What's more, we know that there is no signal on the mountain, and the rescue can't reach. All this was planned by her. She was determined to want me to die. Later, Ye Huanwan couldn't accept lying on the hospital bed unconsciously. It's really crazy. Suffer from dual personality. Shouting and screaming every day. After a while, she smiled and said that Zhong Liangyi loved her the most. After a while, he was so scared that he muttered that Shenmu had come to me. 10. Zhong Liangyi was locked up for a few days and then came out. After coming out, the haggard Zhong Liangyi dragged Ye Huanwan to feed Jiao Jiao. He jumped down from the high floor again. My soul gradually faded. The memories of 28 years passed quickly in front of me like a movie narrative, until Jiao Jiao pounced on me again. I calmly ushered in the real death. Zhong Liangyi, if there is a next life, I will never fall in love with you again. Extra. My name is Zhong Liangyi. He has had an amazing talent for animal taming since he was a child. I am proud. I don't want to follow the circus to do street performances. That autumn, I met Shenmu, who is 1 year older than me. Shenmu wears a beige sweater, which is much gentler than the warm winter sun. She is very busy. Try your best to support me every day. I don't have a job. All I have to do is to fulfill my dream of taming beasts. Shenmu is getting thinner and thinner, skinny like a handful of dead bones. The braised pork served on the table is delicious. Shenmu told me that she is a vegetarian. Don't eat meat. I eat all the food cooked by Shenmu every time. Occasionally, the remaining 1 or 2 pieces of meat are thrown to the dog. Time flies. At the age of 22, I lived up to expectations and successfully won the World Beast Tamer competition. Few become famous. Go home wearing a medal. Shen Mu, who is old-fashioned, cares about me as usual with food. I impatiently avoided her hand hanging in mid-air. Something is quietly changing in my heart. I don't go home at night. Shen Mu never asked. He just sent a message on WeChat and asked me carefully when I would be home. At that time I already had Ye Yuan. Ye Yuan is my neighbor's sister. I always thought I liked her. So young and lively. Ye Yuan, who returned from studying abroad, has a lot in common with me. The most important thing is that Ye Yuan likes Jiao Jiao. But Shen Mu is most afraid of tigers. Shen Mu doesn't even want to touch what I like. How can she say she loves me? The wedding day is coming soon. I left Shen Mu and went to the rooftop to meet Ye Huanwan. I feel ashamed to marry an old woman like Shen Mu. But I have to do this. I'm afraid of being pressured by public opinion. I'm more afraid of losing my job under cyber violence. Ye Yuan and I hang out. I thought how nice it would be if my wife was Ye Huanwan. Then how happy I should be. I spilled Shen Mu's porridge. His temper is getting more and more uncontrollable. 10 years like one day, I even began to dislike the food cooked by Shen Mu. Until one day there was a hair in the meal. I lifted the dining table. What I hate is not food. It's Shen Mu and everything about Shen Mu. Ye Huanwan asked me to take Shen Mu to the secret base. I think Shen Mu will also like it. Even if you don't like it, you should get in touch with my profession. She is my wife, which is of reason. In the evening I was going to jump off the building again. I left without hesitation. I don't know. This is the last time I see Shen Mo. Arriving at the scene, I looked at the suppressed Jiao Jiao. I hate why Shen Mu provoked Jiao Jiao. The blood on the tips of the horns. Shen Mu's corpse and peace charm stimulated my mind. My brain is blank. I can't believe it. That's Shen Mu. I began to regret it. I regret why I talked to Shen Mu like this at the beginning. But I just regret it. I think I always loved Ye Yuan. I took Ye Yuan to home. That I went back to my home where I worked hard with Shen Mu. Without Shen Mu, this house is as cold as a hotel. I have a stomachache. Ye Yuan can't even cook porridge. If only it was Shen Mu. Yes, if only it was Shen Mu. Missing makes my mental state have problems. I began to regard Ye Huanwan as Shen Mu. Only then did I realize it. It turns out that I don't love Shen Mu. Instead, he enjoyed Shen Mu too much and took it for granted. I can't live without Shen Mu. Shen Mu's mother came to see Shen Mu. I remembered Shen Mu's words. Protect her mother. But he watched Shen Mu's mother die. I can't even fulfill Shen Mu's last wish before his death. Looking at the signed exemption agreement, the darkness in my heart inflated more and more. Ye Yuan wants to jump from depression again. I pushed Ye Huanwan off the rooftop. Finally, her dream came true. I'm going to surrender. I hope you can sentence me to death and relieve me. But I was told that I was not the initiator of the incident. I was locked up for a few days and then released. In a trance, I came to the rooftop. I saw Shen Mu leaving with her back to me. I didn't catch up. Turn around and jump down to the empty and dark place. Shen Mu, I'm sorry. If there is an afterlife, please don't meet me again.